Repo shows, they're all fake anyway. And the kid goes, "Ah!"
What are you doing? I paid.
I start driving away.
Have you ever repoed the wrong car?
Yeah. My favorite repo was this Nissan Rogue, and it was in Bradenton. And the house is a corner lot with a chain link fence around it with a lock on the gate. The car's sitting there. I've been by a few times, saw the car. I'm going to get out of the truck, go talk to this lady. I want to try to get the car. So I knock on the door. "Hey, your car's up for repo. I got to pick it up." Blah, blah, blah. You know, "I'm not going to give you the car." I'm like, "Look, just give me the car. Give me the keys. Take your stuff out. Let's do it the right way, you know, so there's no problems. You know, otherwise it's going to be on my truck within a couple of weeks anyways." "No, I'm not giving you the truck." I'm like, "Okay." And we had GPS on this one, and the officer was kind of hot on it. They're like, "Hey, we found the car. It's in the parking garage. Go there. It's not there." She would go home like quick. If she went out with it, she would be home quick. So one day I go by the house, and the car's not there. So I call the office, have them ping it. "She's at Walmart down the street." I'm like, "Sweet, I'll be there in a minute." Back up, it was all-wheel drive. It took me in a couple extra minutes, put on dollies, grabbed it, pulling it out of parking space. Here she comes out of Walmart with her grandson, pushing a shopping carriage. And she's like, "Hey, let him get his book bag out of the car."
Nah.
And I'm like, "No." And the kid goes, "Yeah." I'm like, now grandma's got to deal with this kid screaming. I'm like, "See you later." And I'm just driving through the parking lot. And she's stuck now. She's got her shopping carriage out. What's she going to do? Call a taxi? So if that wasn't enough, I went by the house. The daughter's at the house, so I drive by the house. Beep, 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 beep. I'm like, "Hey, you better send a taxi to Walmart. Grandma's going to need a ride. I'll see you later."
And you still had the car?
I had the car in the back of the truck driving by the house. Yeah. She's like, "Huh?"
Tried to do it the right way. Tried to give her
warned you.
stuff.
I was going to make it inconvenient, you know. There was actually a TV show a long time ago with a black guy and a white guy that were doing repos. And I'm watching, I'm like, I'd be good at that. You know, I know every car. It was actually real because most of them repo shows, they're all fake anyways. So I just kind of called up a few places, and it was like, by chance, the third place I called, they're like, "Come on down," you know. And so I met with the guy, and we went out, and he was an ex-cop from New York. He rides with me for like a couple of weeks, you know, to get me up and running on all the stuff. So, so we're riding around and stuff, and I'm like, "Hey, you know, as a cop, what's the worst thing you've seen? You've seen, like, you know, suicides and car accidents and teeth stuck in dashboards and all this crazy stuff. What was the worst thing you've seen as a cop?" I had to ask him. He's like, "Well, I'll tell you, the worst thing was back in the 90s when, you know, crack started taking over. There was like 5 people up on the elevated train platform. They're all high as a kite. A train came, ran them all over." He says body parts are falling down in the street, and they had to go around and pick up body parts and match them up with the torsos. I'm like, holy crap, that's pretty bad. So,
yeah.
This guy was kind of a hard cop, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so it was just crazy, you know, conversations like that and stuff. So I got, you know, up and running and.
Do they give you, when you get up and running, do they give you a truck?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had my own truck. It was kind of hopped up and stuff too. So, he was a Lakeland cop back in the, you know, he wasn't currently, but he went from New York to Lakeland, and he's like, "Yeah, all the cops know my truck, so don't worry about nothing. You're not gonna get no tickets." So I was flying around Lakeland like crazy. So that job lasted probably about a year. And it just ran me ragged. A lot of hours, you know, I was doing like 15, 16 hours in the truck. And
Well, I have a question. How do you get paid? And what do? They just give you like, "Hey, go buy here's 8 different houses to go by to look for the cars. And here's a bunch of businesses where the cars," they just give you like, "Hey, here's a bunch of addresses.
Right.
We're looking for a black Chevy here." And then like, if you get it, what do you get? Is that how it is? Or you just get paid by the hour?
At that place I was kind of new, so it was like salary plus so much per car. So, you know, not a lot per car, but I probably got, you know.
What is it normally? Just give me, you know, like a
nowadays it's like $75 a car. You would get straight up.
Okay.
So if you get 20 cars in a week, that's not a bad paycheck.
Right.
You know? And there's voluntaries that are a little less and things like that. But
Somebody just calls. It's at my office.
yeah, I'm not
office.
paying for the car no more.
Come
Or the
get it.
transmission's blown or whatever it is. And you get some wrecks like that, you know. But you're really just recovering a VIN number. You don't care what the car is,
Right.
you know. So
And you're just driving around. You're not. They just say you just you just pull up in your vehicle in the morning, jump into the tow truck and leave, and just come back when you come back, or you can come back whenever.
I had a take home truck, so I just take it home after.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So,
But you could drive if you wanted to drive 10 hours a day, or if you wanted to drive 18 hours a day. They don't give a shit.
yeah, they don't care.
There's a whole. Well, they give you there's a whole list of addresses with vehicles that we're looking for.
Right. They give you all the addresses. I had a laptop in the truck. This was '09, and it had Windows 95, no internet, and Microsoft Streets and Trips. So I would have to actually physically go to the office, get all my files, and then type in the addresses and go there. You know what I mean? So that was kind of old school. You know what I mean? Now everything's computerized. You've got internet. You can trace things if you want. So, but back then it was, you know, a lot tougher.
In Florida, are they allowed to have one of those, you put like a chip in it so that it can track it like a tracker?
If the finance company puts a tracker on, yeah, we didn't have them back then, really.
Okay.
But he used to find people, you know. There was one person they were looking for a long time, and what was it? The only thing he had in his name was a cable bill. So my boss found him from a cable bill. So I go by that address, find the car, I grab it. The wife comes out, and she's getting her stuff out of the car, and she's on the phone with the husband. They got the car, you know. And the husband's like, let me talk to him. How'd you find me? I'm like, well, my boss is a cop, so that's all I can tell you. So people were bewildered. And there was one other guy I got. He was like a ghost. There was nothing in his name. Couldn't find him. My boss says, go by the mom's house. He's bound to be there at some point. So I finally go by one time, and he's there. And the house is here, and there's a tree, and he's parked right between the house and a tree. So I pulled the truck up to the side of it, wrapped a chain around the rear suspension, and just pulled the car right across the front yard. And the kid comes running out of the house all mad. And I ended up calling the cops on him, and I'm over there talking to the cops, and we're like laughing and joking and stuff, and he's getting his stuff out of the car. So that was kind of a crazy one too. You get quite a bit, you know, but eventually we get you. So
So when you left the one company, you went and worked for another company?
I left that company after about a year or so, and I went back to auto repair for a while because it was just a lot of hours. And then I went to this other place in Sarasota that wasn't a really good job, and the guy there said, go to this place. So I went there. It was a larger company, and I was there for 8 years solid. So that was pretty neat, you know. A lot of repos over there, good accounts.
Right.
And then you got more into the GPS cars where we can track them.
When you say good accounts, if they're being repo, they don't seem like they're good accounts. What do you mean?
Well, good accounts for us because they're
repo.
actually living there rather than something that's like 4 years old. You go knock on the door. Hey, you know this person? Yeah, you lived here 4 years ago.
Right.
That's like bad paper, you know.
Do you ever go to like the next door neighbor's house and knock on the door and say, listen?
Yeah, from
when
time
these
to
people
time. Yeah. I try to do stuff at night, you know, late at night, because if the car's not there at 3 a.m, they don't live there.
Yeah.
You know, mostly that's what it is. So, but
You ever show up in there on bricks or something, or?
yeah, a couple of them were, but.
You know what I'm saying? Like they start selling off pieces of the car or the vehicle. They're like, oh, I'm going to start selling.
Yeah, there was one car I grabbed, and they wanted to change the wheels on it, but I was kind of in a bad position, you know, to not say nothing because they're blocking me from getting under the car totally. So I'm like, all right, just go ahead and change the wheels, you know. I wasn't going to call the cops and all that stuff on it. So, but yeah, that one, they put wacky wheels on it. They weren't the right ones. They didn't have the correct factory ones. You know, they had the big chrome wheels on there they wanted to take off. So, like, whatever. I'm taking the car. Do what you got to do. So, you know, I'm recovering a VIN number, so, you know, I don't really care.
I watch the ones on TikTok.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the guy shows up. People chase it. They're chasing after him down the through the parking lot. And, you know, they're driving, and,
Yeah.
some woman comes out and she's crying, and I gotta pick up my son at school. And
Yeah, they might come out, they might jump in the car, and then you can't tow it, so then you got to call the cops, and it's 15, 20 minutes for them to get there. And usually they tell them get out of the car. Once in a while they don't, but, it depends on the situation. If they're trying to peel out on the back of the truck and cause a whole bunch of fuss, then the cops are going to be like, get out,
Yeah.
So there was one cop in Hillsborough, I ran into the guy twice in one day. I did a repo, backed into the car. The guy jumped in the car. He didn't want to get out and all this stuff. And he's complaining and all this stuff. He finally got out, and I pulled the thing down the street. He had the emergency brake on, so it's like going down the street. So I unlock it, shut off the e-brake, strap it down, driving down the road. Cop behind me turns on the lights. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, this is that repo I was going to or whatever. He's like, man, I was getting ready for that repo. I was all, getting hyped up for it. I'm like, well, I hate to deprive you of anything, and he's laughing and stuff, and we're laughing and joking a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I had my chance to get out of there, so I split, rather than wait for you. He's like, yeah, no problem. So take the car. I go to the lot, drop it off. The next repo, I do that one. Hook the car, same thing. The people jump in the car. I got to call the cops on them. The same cop showed up. First of all, one cop shows up. And he's like, all right, it's repossessed. Get out, Then the second cop calls up that was just over there at the other one. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, yeah, I heard you on the radio. I thought I'd come by. I'm like, how you doing? That was a riot,
What makes it repoed? Once it's physically, you physically kind of have the hold of it.
If it's physically on the truck, it's repossessed.
And that's the kind of truck you have the back loader where you pull it on?
Yeah, it's like a self-loader. It unfolds, and you get under there, and it grabs the tires, and it picks it up. So as long as you got it picked up or a chain on it or something like that, and they can't drive it away,
right?
Then
you have
it's
control
repossessed. But there's also another law that says if they object to the repo, it's a breach of the peace. So you got to watch out for that breach of the peace stuff. Because that's one thing that the cops can either do the breach of the peace, or they can do is legally repossessed,
get out of the car,
and get out. So it kind of depends on what they want to do when they get there. But
if someone's getting their car repoed, is there anything that they can do or say to save their car when you're already there?
Not really, because I'm already there. I mean, they can call the finance company and try to pay for it while it's on the truck. That's happened here and there. They don't usually do that, but once in a while. If it's like a smaller car lot, like a buy here, pay here place, that might fly. But the big finance companies, they're going to want the car brought in. So they're not paying us to repo it to just pick it up and put it down. They're going to want it brought in, and then they do their condition report and figure out what it's worth and go from there. So
I had a mortgage company, right? We used to play jokes on each other all the time.
Yeah.
I wasn't really somebody playing a bunch of jokes, but the brokers were all constantly fucking with each other. So I had a guy named John Sloan. He was just this guy that he came in late, left early, was not a motivated, broker at all. And every once in a while he would come in and he'd be like, Matt, can I borrow whatever, $800? Like, I'm closing this loan in 2 days, but my car, and he's renting a place from a buy here, pay here lot, right? Yeah. He'd been with me maybe a year or so. Like, it just never did very well. And yeah, sure, I'll give you, here's some money, here's the money. He'd go pay it. And so this happened like every 2 months. He's like, yeah, they're going to take my car, bro. Like, can you? I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so I knew one day he had a loan closing on like a Friday, and like on a Wednesday or Tuesday, he said, Matt, can you give me $1,000? I got to go pay my car. Yeah. And I said, yeah, sure. Give him $1,000. And he went and caught it up or whatever it was. Well, I had another broker named Eddie LaFuente. Eddie LaFuente had a friend that he was doing a loan for. He'd done several loans for this guy. And the guy worked for a tow truck company. Mm-hmm. And he would show up in his tow truck. And so one day, the guy stopped by, and I told LaFuente, hey, because he knew, we used to always say, bro, what are you doing? You're going to one of these buy here, pay here lots. You're fucking paying like 28% interest. Like, get a fucking car loan.
Yeah.
Like, but he could just never get ahead, right? Mm-hmm. And he had bad credit. He worked at a mortgage company, he had bad credit. So I said to him, listen, I go to LaFuente, I said, listen, I said, next time your buddy comes by, I said, let's have him pretend to take Sloan's car. I explained what was going on to him. He goes, oh, fuck yeah. So it's like that day or something, the guy came by or he called him and said, next time you're near the area. So he comes in, he calls up, he says, hey, where's the car? What kind of car is it? Okay, it's this car. It's car right in front of the fucking office. And so we're sitting there, and Sloan's desk, by the way, so the whole front of the office is all glass. And we had, we had the blinds, right? The Venetian blind, I don't know what you call them, whatever, vertical blinds. And they're here. And so his desk is like this, and so his back is to the thing. So he's on the phone talking to somebody. Yeah. He's talking to him. The guy pulls the vehicle, you hear the beep, beep, beep. He backs it right up, and he brings the arms things down. He gets it right in between. He gets it under the car. And he kind of like he didn't want to put it he didn't want to pick it up.
Yeah.
He's like, he got it just under the wheels and kind of just jiggled it.
Yeah.
Hoping to make some noise so that Sloan. And so we're standing there in the front lobby area and we can see Sloan.
Yeah.
And we're kind of standing there, and some of us are outside watching Sloan, and you see him talking, and but you can hear the deet, 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 deet. And he sits there, and you hear him, he says something on the phone. He's like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, somebody's backing up. I think there's a tow truck or something. And he goes, hold on. And he goes, I grab the blinds like this. And he goes, I gotta go. And he hangs up the phone and goes running outside. And now we all pour outside. We runs up to the guys. He's like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, man, I got to take it. I got to take it, bro. The finance company, he's drawing the list, and he's kind of bouncing the car a little bit. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, you can't take it. I paid. I already paid. Let me get him on the phone. He's like, man, I got to take it. Like, let me get him on the phone, bro. I just paid him. And he was panicked. And we're kind of, at this point, we just start bawling laughing.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, he doesn't quite realize we're laughing. We're laughing. And you know what we're really laughing at. And at some point, because I guess the guy's just kind of bouncing the car, he realizes, like, this guy's not picking up the car. Yeah. And he's like, and he sees us laughing. He's like, are you fucking with me? Are you guys fucking? And we just start laughing. And the guy's like, man, I'm sorry, bro. They asked me to do it. He's like, fuck. And he's sweating. I mean, he's sweating and everything. And I remember he told me when he came up to me, he's like, you fucking assholes. He said, I didn't care that they were going to take the car.
Yeah.
I was just humiliated that you guys were going to be here and see him take my car. Because I paid it. I know I paid it.
Yeah.
And it was just so. But anyway, yeah, I always thought that was fun. The beep, beep, beep. But when he went to look out the blinds, and he went,
yeah.
He was like,
that's funny. They gave me a new truck one time, and they're like, yeah, it's got a backup alarm on it. I'm like, I'm going to stab it with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
I ain't having it. They're like laughing,
Yeah, it notifies them, right?
The boss, yeah. Yeah, it's got a backup alarm on it. Yeah, no thank you.
Do you have any stories where someone's trying to like attack you or get violent or just
You're a pretty big guy.
Had a guy pull a gun.
Really?
Yeah, a couple of knives, couple of guns. Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
Well, it was one of them was pretty bad because this guy was kind of nuts. But there was a Mercedes Benz, so I backed up. This was a front wheel drive Mercedes, so I hooked it from the back. I couldn't make a clean getaway with it, and this guy's in the yard, and his wife's in the yard, and the guy's just friggin' pissed. I'm like, it's repossessed. Grab your stuff if you want, and they're grabbing their stuff out of it. But the guy's just getting madder and madder and stuff. And I'm like, oh, and I had straps on the thing. And there was a moment where I thought I could just pull the car. So I tried pulling the car, but the wife tried opening the passenger door and jumping in.
Right.
So I stopped, but it kind of knocked her over or something like that. And then this guy went bananas. And he starts pulling out a gun and shit and yelling and screaming and all this stuff. And he ended up reaching in my truck, taking the keys. So I couldn't really do nothing.
I mean, did you call the police?
Yeah. I called the cops. The cops came out. They got their guns out. Let me see your hands and all this stuff. I'm like way down the street. They're like, you guys go over there. The wife and me had to go down the street, and then the cops went in on him. And they ended up, he didn't get arrested at that point, but he got arrested for something else. So I think he did like 4 or 5 months in jail for whatever crazy shit he did after that, but that was a bad one. And then the next day I had another one where the very next day I had a thing where I ended up hooking a car and I'm pulling out of the driveway and somebody's running alongside and then they jumped on the boom of the truck. So I had to stop and have the cops come on that one. But, you know, they do that kind of crazy stuff. There was a Cadillac Escalade I repossessed, and it's in front of this really small trailer. It was in Pasco, and I backed up to it, hooked it, tried to put it in neutral. I'm going to pull it out of there. And the guy comes out, and he's just like smashing the windshield. He got in there and started ripping the whole inside. The whole family's coming out, and they're all throwing patio bricks through the windows of this thing. And then this kid comes out. He's like 14, 15 with a big butcher knife, and he's stabbing the tires. I'm like, man, this family is violent, you know?
Yeah.
And I called the cops, and they all came out, and there's nothing they can do because it's their car, you know?
Right.
They're the registered owner, so I had to put the thing on dollies and pull it out of there because I had a flat tire. So it's just craziness sometimes. They'll try to drive off the truck, get away. They'll hit another car to get away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And bounce off somebody else's car. It's crazy. You know?
Well, I don't understand. Like they didn't pay.
Yeah.
Like you know, do you ever say, you know, it's not my fault. You didn't pay.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah. You never get near these people, you know, when they're in the car. Even if I'm in the truck, I'll get out of the truck if they're trying to drive off the truck. If you can put a cable on there and hook them, great, you know, call the cops. But you get one or two that'll drive right off the truck. If they rip the bumper, they rip it. You know, they don't care. You know? Crazy.
What do people do to hide their cars from the repo man?
Put them in the backyard behind the shed. You know, I get them in the backyard all the time, you know.
So how do you recover a car from the backyard? Or
Drive in the backyard and go get it. They'll block them in. You know, there might be a couple of cars in front of it. We can actually move a car that's blocking the repo and then grab the repo, you know, put the other car back, you know. So like,
How funny is that?
yeah.
You come out, you think for sure, we'll put your car in front of it. They won't do it. And then you come back and it's still gone.
Well, there was one car I was chasing. It was a GPS car, and it was actually in the other guy's area because we had split up areas. And so he was supposed to get it, but I ended up making the guy run, and he just went down the highway. But I know he was coming back to that motel. He was at a motel. He already paid for the night, so he's going to be back there. So I told the other repo man, hey, I went after this guy, but actually when I zoomed in, I found out it was in your area, so you can go get him, you know. But he had a hard time. He was driving around and around looking for him, and the guy was in the woods, you know, with a pickup truck blocking it, so he couldn't really see it. It took him a while to get that one, but he just moved the pickup truck and took that car and repoed it. Yeah, there was one guy in an apartment complex. I ended up grabbing that car, and the cops came. He ended up getting in it or something. And the cops were like, look, you're just going to have to come back. That was one of the times where the cops weren't on your side or whatever. They were saying, well, you know, breach of peace or whatever. So I'm like, that car ain't never going to be here again. You know, they know I'm looking for it now, so it's going to be gone. So sure enough, I kept going by there. It was gone, but there was another car there. So I had him run the plate and get me an address on that. And that ended up being in that other guy's area that I just spoke about. So we ran the plate, came up with an address. The car we were looking for was at that address, so they just switched cars.
Right.
You know, so that's an interesting thing because people will switch cars if they're friends. There was, back at my first job there that I was saying, I'm riding around with the boss. We're looking for a white 94 Chevy pickup truck. So I know what that looks like because my buddy had a 94. The grills are kind of funny looking. They're not the nicest ones. And it wasn't at the address, but down the street on the other side of the road, about 4 or 5 houses down, there's a white Chevy pickup truck. I'm like, right there, there's a pickup. Let's check that one. Sure enough, that was it. I'm like, wow, you know. So I knew I was going to be good at it then because, you know, I'm finding a car that's supposed to be 5 houses up on the other side of the road, and it's over here.
Yeah.
So my boss ended up looking into it, and these 2 guys switched houses. So one guy was getting the mail, but the process service couldn't serve them. You know what I mean? Because they're not in that house, but they can get their mail back and forth. So they did some funny, shady stuff like that, switching their houses around. So that's happens, I guess. You're always looking for these people. Crazy ways we find them. There was a bartender that we were looking for their car, and they were on Facebook saying, "Hey, I'm going to be working tonight. Come on down." Blah blah blah. They're going on Facebook finding these people. So I go to the bar at a certain time. There's the car. It's like a 2-year-old car, smashed, destroyed. If you see a smashed up car, 2 years old with a mini spare, it's probably a repo. And we got that car. The license plate ended up being stolen on it when I called it into the cops. So they wanted to know. I had to bring them the plate because it's a stolen plate. And they called me like a day later, wanted to know where the person was. I'm like, oh, we found them on Facebook. Go by that bar. I'm sure they're there,
So is that what's happening a lot? Did you guys do that? Like, I would see, to me, I would just think that there's an ad. They give you an address. You go by the address. But you guys are like, you go by the address. The car's not there. You're then what? Then you're jumping on Facebook. Like you start like a little investigation.
Yeah, we can skip trace them. The office has people that do that, but if you're out in the truck and you get an idea, you can check it out,
And what if they're at work? You take it at work.
If I go by a house at 3 a.m, there's like a truck in the driveway and it says like Ace Plumbing Company.
Right.
I can Google Ace Plumbing Company, go over there and see if the car's over there. It might be in a locked gate. They could be hiding it over there.
Well, I was thinking during the day when they're actually at work, like if they go to work at the credit union and the car's parked in the driveway, can you take it if it's in there? I mean, the car's parked in the parking lot of their work and they're in the building. Can you take the vehicle then?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah. We get a lot of them at POE, they call it, place of employment.
Right.
So if we know where you work, we'll go by there. They might keep it in the garage at the house at night, but if you get the job, it's unprotected at the job. So it's easy to get. It might be in a parking garage or large parking lot. But people that have been a problem that we couldn't get at night, we'll get them during the day at their job. So
what's some of the worst and best excuses that you've had from people getting their car towed?
Worst and best excuse.
Or what do they usually say? Are they all just like, what's the typical story? Are they ever tried to?
They don't really give me a lot of excuses. It's like, is there anything I can do to keep it from getting repossessed? I'm like, no, I got to take it, So there isn't really a lot of excuses. They'll say, oh, I got medical bills and this and that. I'm like, don't pay the medical bills. They're not going to repossess the medical work they did to you, but they're going to repossess your car.
Right.
You might get older people with that kind of thing going on, but.
Do they ever try to bribe you? Like, hey, here's $50, like $25.
Yeah, quite a few times. But, for it to be worth it, I have to have a suitcase with $100,000 in it because now I'm not going to be a repo man anymore. How much are you going to lose in money? So that's. Yeah, they don't have enough to bribe me.
Yeah, I was going to say that. And I was thinking about the car payment and the medical bills. I was thinking, okay, your car payment's probably $600 or $800.
Yeah.
Your medical bills are thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right,
Like, you might as well. You're not telling me that the difference is $800.
Yeah.
So
I know it.
That doesn't make, it's not a very good excuse.
No.
No. That doesn't make sense. What about, do women ever come out and they cry out their kids?
Yeah, women crying. Yeah. Tough ones like that sometimes, There was actually one in Sarasota. It was a woman and a couple of her kids, and this was in the winter, and she's like basically living in the car. And I hooked the car. They were in there, I'm like, So I'm like, all right, well, I got the car. I'm going to call the cops, see what happens. The cops came out. They're like, dude, you got to go. They're like, we're not going to kick the woman out of the car at, 40-degree weather at night and this and that. I'm like, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Right.
I gave it a shot, but, that was like a really bad one, as far as that goes. But, sometimes you get people living in their cars and, motels or whatever. There was 2 guys I couldn't get last year. One was in a Cadillac in a motel, and he was sleeping in the car. He was in all the time. We had GPS on both of them. The other guy was in the Port of Tampa, and he was sleeping in his car at the Port of Tampa in some park or something over there by the beach.
If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above, that's where GhostBed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, GhostBed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every Ghost Bed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips, or a firm option with exceptional support, your Ghost Bed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a Ghost Bed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which Ghost Bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Even better, our listeners will get 10% off for a limited time. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use code Cox at the checkout. That's ghostbed.com/Cox and use code Cox for 10% off site-wide.
So I can't get in the Port of Tampa to get it. So it ended up being on Father's Day, and I got them both on Father's Day. So the Cadillac was in front of a house, backed up, grabbed it, 40 seconds, gone. The other guy, he was in front of this other house. I grabbed it, and he came out. There was a big bunch of BS going on with that. He came out, caused a bunch of problems. I called the cops, but they didn't show up. I was there for like 45 minutes with that one. So eventually he got his stuff, and it was near a mailbox. It was kind of tough to get out. So I got that one. So I was pretty happy with both of those. The people that you chase, and you might chase somebody for a month or two. When you get them, it's like awesome. You're like, yeah.
Why did they, when they pick it up, a lot of times I'll see them on like TikTok where they'll pick up the vehicle and they immediately drive off down the street. Mm-hmm. And then they'll do something else. Like, is it they just want to get away from the house?
Yeah,
right?
You get running distance away. I mean, if you can make it a couple of blocks down the road, that's good. You'll see him coming down the road, Right. There was one car I picked up. The guy was sleeping in it. I didn't even see the guy, right? I'm like, it had GPS. It's parked on a side road. I backed up, grabbed the car, went down the street 2 blocks to the other side road. You're going to put the strap on there and make it safe to go on the road. And the guy's in the car, and I'm like, knock, knock, knock. And he's like, huh? I'm like, dude, you got to get out. You're on the wrecker truck. He's like, where am I? I'm like, you're 2 blocks away from where you were. And the guy got out. He's like, all right, let me get my shoes and stuff like that. And before he can start thinking of doing something stupid, he had his shoes over here, and I just took off down the road. He's running down the street with no shoes on.
Do they show up at the tow truck yard and get their stuff usually, or like if they didn't have a chance to get their stuff, a lot of times they show up?
Yeah, they'll get their stuff. They'll have to call up and make an appointment, but you got to pay for it too, because we got to bag and tag everything in the car and store it. So they end up having to pay, $100 to get their stuff back or whatever. So I usually let them get their stuff, you know, if they're being cooperative, you know. So, I'd rather have them take their stuff out than me have to do it, because we have to bag and tag everything and put it in the office. So
I was thinking that's like when you have apartments and you take their apartments, you can't just throw everything away. You have to basically pack it up and kind of store it for
you have to put it in storage for them. Yeah.
And then you can charge them. You can charge them for storage.
Yeah.
Do people show up and complain something's missing? I had, a watch. I had a Rolex. I had, whatever.
File a report. That's all they can do. I guess there's some guys that steal stuff, but I've always been pretty honest.
Did you ever find anything like interesting in anybody's car or anything? That's
guns.
Yeah.
Find a lot of guns. I used to get bitched at because I'd miss a gun under the seat. My boss was like, "We found a gun in that car. You missed it." Well, it was nighttime, So.
You had mentioned the one about the cop that you came out and he was trying to stop you from.
Yeah, there was a Nissan Altima, and I grabbed it from the back. It was pulled in forward, so I had to put it in neutral to roll it out. And the guy came out. He's like, "Hey, I'm a cop. let me get my stuff out of the car, you know? And he opens the trunk and he's got all this police gear he's getting out. He's like, yeah, I got in a bad accident and I've been on medical and I've been having to use my own car to, you know, do patrols or whatever. I'm like, oh, sorry to hear that and all this stuff. And so he ended up getting his stuff, but the car was still a mess. So I took it back to the lot. I had to take all the stuff out, and there's all these papers in the car, and I'm looking at this paper, and it says Police Action Disciplinary Report. And I'm reading, and it's like, Officer blah, blah, blah did this. He was in pursuit of a suspect on a bicycle and went off-road with his patrol car and entered a ditch and totaled the police car and was injured. And we will be retraining the officer in the safe and proper use of city vehicles and all this. So he got in trouble, and they're going to teach him how to drive a car again. So I guess
He wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
He was telling the truth about
How
that.
do you wreck a police car chasing a guy on a bicycle, you know? I guess not
Yeah.
every cop's Mario Andretti out there.
Yeah. I can see the bike being able to go through the ditch. And
Don't
the
they have
car
clubs?
can't.
You can just stick the club in the spokes and stop them real
Yeah.
quick.
God, I saw this thing the other day. The cop, they have this, it's like it looks like a gun, and it looks like something out of Batman, where they fire it, and it's got like two balls, and it wraps around the person, like it, you know, which, and actually tied them up. It was like a Batman type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
They should have that on the police cars. Or they do have I've seen the thing with the police car where they can drive, and they have like a little thing that drops out of the police car and it goes up under the car.
Yeah.
And shorts out the electrical system.
Oh, yeah.
You seen that?
No, I've seen a net thing that wraps up in the back wheel.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
They got like a net thing that wraps up and they like with an SUV and they stop you like that. But I'm surprised they don't have something that fries the computer. I guess that'll do it.
They do. That's
Yeah.
that's what this thing was. It almost made me think of like a drone, but it was on the. It's actually on the ground. It actually just shoots out of the from underneath the police car, or maybe it was in the front of the police car. It just shot out and it went right into the car. And it had these little metal, you know, little tentacles that are up. And so as it goes under the car, it just it shocks it, and the car it burns out the electrical system. The car shuts off, and it just pulls over. But you know, who knows if any of that shit's fucking works or not? It all looks good on TikTok,
Right. Yeah.
Do you watch or have you watched any like Repo TV shows? And if so, like what are some things that are depicted in the shows that aren't real?
Just about everything on the shows ain't real, you know. These assaults, you know, they grabbing people and pushing them around and all that kind of thing. The cops are going to show up for that, you know what I mean? The finance company is going to find out about it. They're going to drop you, you know. Most of that stuff isn't real, you know. It usually says in the beginning, this is a dramatization, and that kind of stuff can happen where people are just beating the hell out of their own car. But, you know.
Do you watch TikTok or any of those?
I've seen some of those videos.
Like
I mean, people driving off the truck and stuff like that, they're going to try that stuff in a parking lot. I've seen, like, you know, people just hitting other people's cars in parking lots. I mean, that's how crazy they get. You know, they got that fight or flight instinct where they got to get away, you know, and they're going to bounce off another car. And I've seen people hit a house, other cars on the side of the street. So
yeah, I always see the guy. There's one where the guy gets out. It's like usually him and another guy, and they'll get out, and someone will run out as they're kind of putting the car up. The guys will get out and they'll start. You know, there's always some guy. You know, bro, you you take my car, bro. You ain't taking my car. And the other guy, the guy that's driving the tow truck, is a big guy.
yeah.
And he just kind of he's like, nah, bro, it looks like I gotta take it. He just keeps going.
Yeah.
He just keeps doing what he's doing as the guys, you know. And I've seen one or two of them where the guy like looks like he's gonna fight. He's like, bro, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, don't. And listen, every time I've seen a guy, this is a big guy.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like I can already tell, bro. Let him take the car.
Well, I'll grab a car and some big guy will come out of the house. And he's like, hey. And I'm like, hey, how you doing, sir? Would you like to get your stuff out of your car? Because they're going to bag it, tag it, and they're going to charge you like $300 to get. I'll let you get your stuff now. Save yourself some money, put it towards getting the car. It's probably the finance company. You're probably only a couple weeks behind. And the guy's like, he's trying to save me money. I can't kick his ass.
Yeah.
You know? And at the end of it, he's shaking your hand saying, thanks a lot. So they're looking for that you want to fight them or run away kind of thing, and you give them the opposite reaction they're looking for, and they get confused. They don't know what to do now. So
Plus
that's the best thing is the right attitude,
Right. I was gonna say. Plus, they know they didn't pay.
Yeah.
You know, I've owned a ton of rentals when I was younger, which was a long time ago. So and people used to always say, like, we had like 50 some odd rentals, and guys used to always say, hey man, like, man, people trash the places when you have to evict them and stuff. And no, like, we literally only had one person really trash it. I mean, they'll leave it junky,
Right.
but let's face it, if you give me a hammer and 3 minutes, I can do about $10,000 worth of damage.
Yeah.
I mean, I can easily make you have to replace all the drywall, the toilets, the sinks, everything in that kitchen. It doesn't take, with a hammer and 3 or 4 minutes, it doesn't take much. And even the guy that I said he did some damage to the property because he knew it was being thrown out. What he did was still not more than, it didn't cost us more than $150, $200. Like some holes in the drywall. He was actually put like poo, like smeared poo, like, so that was essentially, but 4 or 5 days later, everything's dried up, and you scrape it off, put Kills over it, paint right over it, and it's like it wasn't that big deal. A couple holes in the drywall, but the real damage would have been taking that hammer, pow, pow, smash out someone. Didn't do anything like that.
Yeah.
And so people are always like, oh, really? They don't. I always think they would trash it, but they don't, because deep down, even if you're a dickhead, you haven't paid in 2 months.
Right.
Like, come on, man. Like you didn't pay. And you didn't pay because you didn't pay because you got fired from your job. You didn't get fired from your job because you didn't deserve to be fired from your job. Yeah. You didn't show up. You fucked off. You stole something. You lost the job. You slept in bed for 4 or 5 days. Then you started to try and get another job. You didn't get a job for an extra 2 or 3 weeks, or you dicked around. You got on drugs or went on a drunken bender. You spent your fucking money. Like you said, like none of that is the bank's fault. It's not your fault. So that's why I'm saying, like, you would think people would trash them and do all kinds of, but they typically, in my opinion, as far as rentals were concerned, they don't, because as mad as they are, deep down, you know it's you. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It's your fault.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's the same kind of thing, except for that one family. Yeah, those people just have that's just a mental problem.
If they can drive a car without paying for it, they're going to do it for as long as possible.
Yeah, and I get that. Like, I get that. I mean, you're going to do what you can get away with, but then I'm not going to be spiteful and destroy the car that I have been driving for 2 months without paying for. Right. Like, you would think most people would just be like, I don't want you to take it. I want to get away with it. I'm going to hide it. Yeah, I'm going to do everything I can. But I'm not going to take a fucking hammer and trash this fucking car. Yeah.
There was one woman I was chasing 3-4 times. She got away from me. I'm like, okay, here she is. Okay, I can finally get her this time. It's 3:30 in the morning. They're in the car. They're take off, I'm like, man, this one's like the toughest one, And I was like in the office one day, and they're like, it's a surrender or something at a tow yard. I'm like, how'd that car end up at a tow yard? How did a tow place get that? Well, she got arrested for shoplifting. So she actually got arrested at Walmart, and the cops called and had a tow company tow the car, and then we had to get her from the tow company. I couldn't get her. I'm like, how the hell is some tow company going to get her?
They took her out of the equation.
Once she got arrested, then you can tow the car. But she was in it constantly, her or her boyfriend. It was like, that was a tough one to get, Well,
we were talking earlier how it seems like it seems like a fun job. But you were saying, what were you saying? This
6 hours of boredom and an hour of excitement. Right. You can be riding around and not get nothing sometimes, for a few hours.
It's like being a police officer or a lawyer. It looks cool on TV. But
there's a lot of driving around and a lot of looking in backyards and walking past dogs. You got to be good with dogs. That's another thing.
How many payments does someone have to get behind before their car gets repoed?
They can be like 2 weeks behind. I repoed a car one time. Yeah, I repoed a car one time. The lady, she only owed like $80 or something like that. But she was constantly late. So, it's a contract. So if you're, out of your contract, then they can repo at any time. the people that are late all the time, they're more likely. Most of the time, it's probably 30 days, 60 days. But if you're constantly late, they can just get sick of you and say, just have them pick up the car.
Are these? I mean, are most of these kind of like buy here, pay here, or are they like legitimate?
We
like, hey,
mostly did big finance companies.
oh, they are mostly big.
Yeah,
finance. Okay.
different places I worked at had different accounts.
Right.
Like if you're working at a smaller repo place, you might have buy here, pay here's, some of them. But the place I worked at for a long time, we had like GM Financial and all the big, Capital One and all the big finance companies. So,
What's the nicest car you've repoed?
the nicest car I've repoed, maybe a Maserati Quattroporte, maybe.
And so how'd you
Corvette. Did a Corvette, Maserati.
Is there any specific? I mean, do you find it that it's people who are just broke and they're just basically fuck ups all the way around, or are they like people that are just trying to drive a nice car that they can't afford? Is there any specific kind of story that you see, or everybody's just kind of
Well,
different?
you get expensive cars in the bad neighborhoods. Like you drive around Tampa, you see BMWs and Mercedes all over the place. Can they afford it? I don't know, but if it comes up for repo, you have to try to grab it.
So what's the story behind the ice cream truck?
The ice cream truck, yeah. I did a repo. There was a van, so I backed in, grabbed the thing, jumped under it, put it in neutral, pulled it down the road. I see a long cord coming out of the back, an extension cord. I'm like, what's this? So there's an extension cord coming out. I open the back doors. There's a big freezer in there. So I'm like, I hope there ain't a dead body in the freezer or nothing. So I open it up. There's ice cream in there. So I'm like, oh, that's neat. I got an ice cream truck. So I sent a picture of the guys. I repoed an ice cream truck, and you don't have no ice cream because your mom's on welfare. I sent him a picture.
Did it look like an ice cream truck?
It had
Or
a few stickers on it. You couldn't tell at night, from the front of it, but it had a few stickers of ice creams on it. Like they were probably just trying to start off in the business, but
Right.
yeah, I actually repossessed an ice cream truck once. I couldn't believe it.
It's funny too that like when I got out of prison, I didn't think like there'd still be ice cream trucks, but I'd say twice a week there's ice cream truck drives through here.
Really?
Oh, multiple times. My wife and I have been like, and we'd run out there and get a screwball. What they have the ball at the the screwball is.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's like a clear cup, and it's kind of like an icy, and then at the bottom, it's got like it's a bubble, like a bubblegum ball at the bottom. You ever heard of that?
No, I've never seen that. Yeah.
And then they've got, of course, regular. They got just all kinds of different ones. You just, hey, I'll take a such and such and such. And, the little kids are behind you. You're like, back up. No. Back up, Scotty. So anyway, yeah, it's but yeah, there's definitely still ice cream trucks. What's the worst one?
Motorcycle guy pulled a gun on me one time. That was way out in the country. I ended up calling the cops on him, and I got it. I got the motorcycle.
What happened to him? They arrest him, or
no? I could have pressed the charges if I wanted to, but
I don't get
I'm
it.
like, just give me the bike. I'm going to get out of here.
You're allowed to pull a gun on somebody. You don't even get arrested.
I'm wheeling the bike down the road.
Right.
Guy's like, leave the bike here. I'm going to shoot you. I'm like, all right, I jumped in my truck, called the cops, waited there for a half an hour because it was way out on the other side of Lithia somewhere. I'm like, hey, and then they had a dog. I told the cop, watch out for this dog because he's a sneaky one. He was like, going to bite the cop. Cop's like, put that dog in the house, So
what makes you decide to knock on the door, just grab the car and get out? Like, what are you looking at?
Yeah, why not? Why knock on the door if you can just grab the vehicle?
Well, I don't. I mean, I will just grab it, but
because that one person, you couldn't get her vehicle.
The grandma,
right? Because her car was it was a locked gate, so I couldn't if there's a locked gate, you can't cut a lock or anything like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, the car was sitting there, but I couldn't get the truck in to grab it. If they didn't have a fence around the house, you just grab it and go with it. But yeah, so Garage, if it's in a garage, you can't mess with that. You can't mess with a locked gate. There's been some gates where you can open them, you know what I mean, and just go in. They might think they can complain about it, but if you can open it without breaking it. There was another guy that was, he had a really weird lock on there. I went by at 3 a.m. It was locked, but I went by it after that, I went by at 10 a.m, and maybe the wife went out, picked up breakfast or something. So the lock was just hanging on it. So I took the lock, and you had to pick it up and do some weird stuff with the lock. And it was a Land Rover. So I backed in, grabbed the thing. He comes running out, jumps in the truck and drives forward. So I just backed up the truck some more, picked it up. And now he's right up against the fence. He can't do nothing. Well, there's an inflatable pool for his kid on the side, and the front wheel ran over the pool a little bit. It didn't hurt it. And I'm like, look, I had to call the police on that guy, and they come down, and I'm like, look.
Why? Because he wouldn't get out of the car?
Yeah, he was standing on the boom of the truck.
Okay.
He wouldn't move. So they're like, listen, you got to get off his truck, and he's going to take the car. I'm like, look, just give me the keys to the car so I don't wreck the pool. He wouldn't give me the keys to it. So I'm like, all right, I got to pull this thing and then put dollies on it because it was too close to the fence. So I know the pool's going to get wrecked. So I ended up pulling it, and the whole backyard got flooded, and the cops are picking up their feet so they don't get wet. But put that on dollies, got it out of there. Why wreck your kid's pool for nothing, Mm-hmm. Some people are just thick-headed. And his wife had a Land Rover, too, a cheaper one, but he had the Big Daddy black Range Rover, Well,
he did.
Yeah, this was down south Pinellas County. Yeah.
So other than make their payments, what are some things that people can do to avoid their car from getting repoed?
Call the finance company and make some kind of arrangement, Sometimes they're out for repo and they'll put it on hold, That's your only chance. If you're a little behind, just call the finance company, try to work something out with them, and catch up.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can do. Or sell it and pay it off,
And what are you doing now? You're still doing this?
I'm actually doing friendly towing now. I'm still driving a wrecker truck, but it's friendly towing. It's not repos. For the past year or so, I've been out of repos. But
is that what they call them? Friendly tows?
Friendly towing, where they're happy to see you. Yeah. Take my car to the repair shop, kind of thing. We do some accidents and stuff like that. So,
why did you get out of the other one? Out of the repoing?
Well, I worked for a company that kind of screwed me over a little bit, so I quit.
Okay.
But I was at one place for 8 years. It was pretty good. Went to a couple of places after that, and it wasn't as, not as good places to work for. So,
why do you say that? With just bad accounts, or just that the owners are just scumbags or something, or what?
Yeah, a little bit of both. You're not getting paid right and things like that. So
if they have somebody ride with you, will you split it?
It's usually by yourself.
Right. But I'm saying sometimes they say, hey, so-and-so's going to ride with you, right? Like to train somebody, or like you were rode with somebody.
Yeah. I haven't really trained anybody. Usually, they just get in their own truck and drive around.
So what's the best night financially? How much can you make a night? You pulling in 10 cars a night, or?
No, I think 2 or 3 a night, right? It's not
6 or 7.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I can get 6 or 7 in a night. Yeah.
It's $75 a piece?
Yeah.
I'm not great at math, but I think it's $1,500.
So what are your hours as a repo man? Do you just choose them, or are you sleeping?
It depends on the company you work for, but the place I worked for a long time, I just made my hours whatever I wanted, because there's some things you want to do during the day and some things you want to do at night. If you got a lot of places of employment to go by, you're going to do that during the day. But, the regular residential addresses, you're going to want to hit at 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Because that's when the car's going to be there. You got to look in the backyard. It could be in the backyard. If you can look in the garage and see if it's in there or not, you're going to check that out. And you just go from there. But I had a place, a stash spot where I used to just stash cars, and they would come with flatbeds and take 2 at a time. That was good. So I didn't have to go to Tampa too often,
Right.
you know, make a couple of trips. I grabbed a car one time, was out in the country, and I see a sheriff's vehicle out there, and it was a car to repo. So I grabbed it, and before I could get totally under the car, the guy comes out, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" and all this stuff. I'm like, "It's a repo. I got to pick it up." "Well, my wife should have paid for that." I'm like, "Well, that's not my thing, you know. I'm just here to pick up the car." He's like, "Well, let me get my stuff out of it." And he's getting some of the stuff, and I just got it under a little more. I wanted to make sure I grabbed the car with the truck. And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm just grabbing the car. You know, you can go ahead, and I'm not going to leave, you know, chill out, relax, you know." And yeah, I'm not like all these I'm not like all these guys you deal with, you know.
Right.
I was telling the office that. I'm like, he's exactly like all these guys
Right.
we deal with.
Did you ever hear that? I own the car. What are you talking about? There's no
Yeah.
finance company. I own it.
Yeah, yeah.
No. You don't.
Nah, we know it's a repo.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever repoed anything that's not a car, like a boat, or like is there anything? Is it just strictly vehicles?
I'll tell you, the biggest thing I ever repoed was one of those, it was a Volvo dump truck with the tires as tall as me.
Yeah.
The huge off-road construction thing. That was in my first year of repo. And so I found the thing out at the construction site. So we had to get a tractor-trailer truck wrecker and then another trailer truck with a low boy. And we had to put air in the tire and get the brakes, you know, squeezed off and roll the thing onto a flatbed, and then they took it to another place. But that was the biggest thing we ever repossessed was that I was ever involved repossessing was a huge dump truck you'd see on those
Right.
gold mining shows, you know, one of those big things.
What does that pay to repo?
It paid a lot, but,
Right.
you know, I wasn't sure on all the, you know, it was humongously oversized, you know. So.
I was thinking about the people that do the airplanes and boats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's people that.
The airplane thing's interesting. I was in Sarasota driving down the road. This car passes me. The plate looks familiar, so I type in the plate. I'm like, that's the car I'm looking for. And I didn't see it at the house because it was in a garage all the time. So the lady pulls into a gas station, and she's getting gas. And I unfold, back up to the front of it, grab it, pick it up. I'm like, I wouldn't put too much gas in that car. I start driving away, and she got in the car, and she's starting the car and trying to drive off the truck. I had to call the police on her and stuff, and got in a fight with the key. I'm like, give me the key. I took the key out of it, and she's trying to grab the key off of my hand and rips the key off the keychain. The cop came out, and they're like, you know, what's going on and all this stuff. The cop's like, you got a license to do this stuff? I'm like, yeah, I got a license. He's like, let me see it. He was hoping I wouldn't have a license. This cop was not happy with me. You know, the lady she ended up being pregnant, and she's trying to drive off the car, and the car's crooked on the boom. It looks like a big ordeal, you know, if you're driving past there. So they told me to drop the car and take off. So I had to drop it and let it go. I didn't get that one, but you know, she
Did
ended
you
up
eventually get it?
She ended up paying on it, and
Oh,
we
okay.
probably didn't get it. You know, usually when you hook it and something like that happens, they'll pay up on the loan, and then it
They
gets
realize
canceled.
it's serious.
Yeah. They're gonna grab the car. So she was obviously hiding. You know, so but that was crazy. And
But if they have a garage, there's nothing you can do.
yeah, you got to wait till it's out of the garage.
Yeah.
You know, really. I mean, you can't go in the garage to get it. So maybe you hang out at Walmart up the street or something like that. You know, I seen a guy tried to get him. He took off on me. You know, they're in the car a lot. You know, it's tough. If they're in a store, that's good. But if they're in the car, they're going to start it up and drive away. So they see you, they get nervous.
So have you ever felt guilty about repoing from like a specific person or family? Like you just pull up and you're like, oh, I wish I could just leave it here, but
Not too many of them. Maybe a woman crying a lot, you know, you feel a little bit bad, but, you know, you still got to do it. I think that's where a lot of guys would have trouble. You know, she's a woman crying. That's a tough one.
Have you ever repoed the wrong car?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, I repoed the car. I took it to the lot, and the VIN number, I must have got dyslexic. It was really close to what, and they're like, we don't have this car. We don't. I had to take the car back. I'm like, hey, sorry, there was a car a couple of houses away. I didn't mean to take your car.
What'd they say?
I did that once. They're like, oh, well, we're glad we found the car. They called the cops and stuff because their car was missing.
Right.
But I had to take it back. And, hey, I apologize. He probably could have got me in trouble if he really wanted to, but he was a really nice guy. He kind of understood. It was like 2 houses away. The same kind of car was there. Mm-hmm. It was just a couple of years different, but the VIN was almost the same. I must have been really tired or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's the car. I just grabbed it.
What's the most clever way you had to pull off a repo without the owner knowing? Like, is there anything where you had to do anything like out of the ordinary to get the car?
There was one car blocked in by a trampoline. That was the most oddest thing I had to move, was a trampoline once. And if you pick it up, the pipes fall down and it goes cling, cling. So you got to kind of scoot it this way, I had to scoot it a little over this way, a little bit over that way. And I got that out of there. But a trampoline was one of the oddest things I ever had to move for a repo.
How do you get your license? You said you're licensed. Like, I thought you just went and got a job. Like, they just hired you right there.
Yeah, you need a repo license. After 2010, you got to be licensed to do it.
What does that require?
Well, in the old days, it was like go to school for a week because I had the license before 2010. But, yeah, you just kind of apply for it, and if your background's good,
Oh, there's not a course? There's no course? Or
not at this time.
not even a class? You don't go sit down in a class and
No, I don't
like
think
a
so.
driving class?
There's like books to read and stuff, and you got to take a couple of tests. But
Well, that's it. That's
yeah,
a test.
That's for the company too.
Okay.
So for the state license, you really just have to.
You fill out an
They do your
application?
fingerprints and a background check, and if all that comes back good, then they'll give it to you.
So once you repo a car, it goes to the yard, and then what? The finance company, the dealership comes and gets it, and
Yeah,
takes
they
it back?
transport it to the auction, or the people come get their car.
Yeah, so they go to the auction after that.
It'll either go to the auction or the people redeem the car.
Yeah. How long do they have to redeem it before it goes to the auction? Is there a set
I'm
time?
not totally sure. It depends on the finance company.
Yeah.
And that's like office stuff that, I don't really know, but usually personal property is like 45 days, to get that back.
And then, what happens with their personal property if they don't come to claim it?
Then they just throw it out after like 45 days to 60 days. They just throw it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff's nasty.
Yeah.
A lot of the cars, cockroaches coming out of them.
Yeah. I assume, the majority of cars you're repoing probably aren't.
Yeah, a lot of them are pretty bad. There was one car that was so bad. I used to bag stuff up at the gas station down the road from the lot, the repo lot, and it's really bright there. And I pull the car up, and I opened all the doors, and it was like cockroaches coming out of the thing like a waterfall, like a reverse. I'm like, and they're running on the cement around the car. I'm like, oh my God, you just
Fucking
you
savages.
don't even want to. You don't even want to deal with that stuff. But there was one car they threw trash in and let it sit there, and it just stunk like a dumpster. You know what I mean? I'm like, I told the lady at the lot, you better bring your Tyvek suit, and I got a ripe one for you. just people being, jerks.
It's just disgusting.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people are just nasty.
Yeah.
You ever see the hoarders that show hoarders? Like, I can't. The mental condition that you have to be under or have to have, like that you've something's mentally got to be wrong with you. You're just
Right.
collecting everything and piling it up, and there's roaches and dead. Every time I watch one of those shows, I'm like, I can't take it.
Yeah.
Can't take it. I feel like this place is cluttered.
Yeah.
And people come in here like, wow, your house is so clean. I'm like, is it? Feel like they're like, I don't think there's a lot of cameras and a lot of cords. I don't like the cords.
Yeah. Yeah, there was one car out in the country. It was like a small SUV, like a S10 Blazer or something like that. So I grabbed that car and I'm going. They got a long driveway, you know, an eighth of a mile long driveway. Grab the car. It's a Chevy. I got to tie the steering wheel on it. So I get it away from the house and I'm going to open it and tie the wheel. There's a dog in the car and he's not happy. He's like, rah, 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 barking. I'm like, oh, great. Now, what do I got to do now? I got to go to the house and I'm get the dog out of the car. So
You just don't want to just open the door and just shoo?
I'm not letting that dog out. What if he bites me? You know,
Oh, you're like 6'2".
This dog's not happy. So I go knock on the door. I'm like, hey, your car's repossessed. You want to get your dog out of here? Because if not, I'm going to have to call animal control and you're going to have to pay to get him back from them. Yeah, I'll get the dog out. I'll get the stuff out. And the lady comes out and gets the dog out, gets her stuff, and I'm off.
What the fuck is the dog doing in the
I don't know why there's a dog in the car at 3 o'clock in the morning, but there was, you know. That was a crazy one, you know.
I mean, do you think they put him in there as a deterrent to you?
I don't know. It's possible,
But it wasn't.
It wasn't. No, I still got it anyways.
3 a.m.
Yeah, I don't know why the dog's in the car.
Hey, you guys, I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notified of videos just like this. Please share the video. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. See ya.